It's kind of odd how everything is spelled with a D here. From the town Odda to the Turtle Motel and the Turtle Sanctuary and finally the Turtle Overlook.
The irony of his name being Detective Dan Diamond has left him rather confused and unsure what to think. He looked round the overlook, and then he saw them.
Well, what do we have here? Clothing. Kind of looks similar to the ones Jeremiah Fumalutz was wearing. Also seems to be this fortunately placed cassette player with a recorded message in it. And of course a letter addressed to none other than Margaret. Let's see what this recording has to say.
I would like her to know.
Oh boy.
I would like her to know.
Oh boy.
You boo-hoo, go-go, so-so. Where did you learn this language?
I learned it from you, darling. I learned it from you, darling.
Well, that's enough to drive anyone to jump. Or is it just conveniently placed here to give that illusion? It seems to be the same message Margaret had on tape. Let's see what this letter says. My dearest Margaret, I came here to protect you and find myself in this spot. I can no longer take the horrible sounds in the recordings. They have haunted me day and night. I wish it didn't end this way, but... Isn't that a very odd way to end a letter? Almost as if it was done purposely. Looking at how deep this overlook is, anything that went over the side is long gone by now. That is, if it went over the side. I can understand how those tapes might drive someone to adjust their life. I'd best back away from the edge while I can. I will give this information to the police, as there seems to be nothing else I can do here.
But as Detective Dan Diamond looked closer at the picture, he made a realization he hadn't made before.
Wait, there's a shadow back there. It's definitely a woman. Is that the Miss Shardy I've heard about? Why is she hiding in the trees? Weren't they supposed to meet? Isn't that why Jeremiah Fumalutz came to Odda Creek? Did she go into the overlook too?
Back at the office, Detective Dan Diamond has set up a meeting with Margaret Susanna Patricia George. Detective Dan Diamond laid out his entire investigation to the client, known as Margaret. When he was finished, he revealed to her what he thought was possible to have happened.
Come in. Well, Miss Margaret, I'm afraid I have some news you might not like to hear.
Tell me everything, Detective. I can handle it.
I can't tell you 100% what happened here, but there are two possible conclusions. One is that Jeremiah Fumalutz went into the overlook. Whether he went because of Miss Shardy or with Miss Shardy is something the cops would need to determine. The second conclusion is that all the evidence is planted to make it seem like conclusion number one is the reality.
But that would mean...
Yes, Margaret, Susanna, Patricia, George. That would mean that Jeremiah and Miss Shardy have run off together. Again, there is no evidence of this. There are just the possibilities.
Margaret, Susanna, Patricia, George broke down in tears, and more tears. So many tears makes one wonder.
That is all I can do for you. Any further action you'll have to pursue with the police.
Thank you, Detective.
As she slowly left crying, I wondered to myself, is there any chance she was in Otter Creek recently? Because I didn't tell her about the third possible conclusion. And that conclusion would be that both Jeremiah Fumblenuts and Miss Shardy went over the overlook, not by choice. Oh well, that's a matter for the police now. I'm tired of these dames anyway. Thankfully now, I can make a motion to pay those bills.
And so closes the case as once again Detective Dan Diamond has solved nothing but figured out much, and he motions to pay the bills.
Thank you, Detective.
As she slowly left, her crying seemed to morph into laughter. There was something diabolically familiar about that laugh, too. Oh well, that's for another day. I wonder, is there any chance she was in Otter Creek recently? I didn't tell her about the third possible conclusion, that both Jeremiah Fumblenuts and Miss Shardy went over the overlook, not by choice. Oh well, that's a matter for the police now. I'm tired of these dames anyway. Thankfully now, I can make a motion to pay those bills.
And so closes the case as once again Detective Dan Diamond has solved nothing but figured out much, and he motions to pay the bills.
Elsewhere, at a place called Butterton's Blues Bar, an up-and-rising star can be heard.
I used to be somebody, and now I'm just free. No matter how long they're searching, they'll never ever find me. Just here's a message for a detective man from that place far away called Moody City Land. Over the obvious, 'cause the obvious is easy over. And if you ever wanna find a search of a true sanctuary,
that's all, folks. Ah.